It was a quiet Sunday morning in the little town of Willowbrook. The sun rose slowly, brushing the tops of the maple trees with a soft golden hue. Birds chirped faintly, and the gentle hum of the wind through the leaves seemed almost like nature's own symphony. On the edge of the town park, under a large oak tree, sat an old wooden bench. It had seen better days. The paint was chipped, and one of the slats creaked when anyone sat on it. But to Henry, the bench was perfect. Henry, a man in his late 70s, had been coming to this bench every Sunday for as long as anyone could remember. He would sit there, hands folded over his cane, and stare at the path that wound through the park. People often wondered why an old man would come to the same bench every week, rain or shine. But Henry had a reason. A quiet, unspoken ritual that had shaped the last 40 years of his life. 40 years ago, on that very bench, he had met Samuel, a boy with a shock of dark hair and a laugh that could fill the park. They had been inseparable from that moment on. Summers were spent racing bikes down the hills, and winters were spent building snow forts near the frozen pond. The bench had been their meeting place, their fortress, and their secret. Over the decades, their friendship grew stronger. They shared everything: joys, heartbreaks, victories, and failures. And then, life, as it often does, took them down different paths. Samuel moved to the city to pursue his dreams, and Henry stayed behind, tending to the bookstore he inherited from his father. They wrote letters, called occasionally, but slowly the distance grew. Yet, Henry never stopped coming to the bench. Every Sunday he sat there, remembering the laughter and the promises made under that oak tree. This morning was like many others, except for one thing. Samuel didn't arrive. Henry waited. Minutes passed, and hours. The park slowly filled with joggers, dog walkers, and families, but still Samuel was nowhere to be seen. Henry leaned back, sighing softly. The world seemed quieter without his friend's presence. He closed his eyes and let the memories come. He remembered the first time they had carved their initials into the bark of the old oak tree. H and S, forever friends. They had laughed at the idea of forever, but even as time moved on, the sentiment held true. Henry remembered their late-night talks about life, dreams, and love. Samuel had always been the optimist, the one who believed that every problem had a solution, no matter how small or improbable. Henry, on the other hand, had been cautious, grounded, a realist. Together, they balanced each other. As Henry opened his eyes, he noticed a small piece of paper tucked under the creaky slat of the bench. Curious, he picked it up. It was yellowed with age, the ink slightly smudged, but the handwriting was unmistakable. It was Samuel's. "If you're reading this, Henry, it means I couldn't make it today. I'm sorry. Life took me away, but I've never forgotten our Sundays. Remember the bench, our stories, and the laughter. I hope it brings you comfort, as it always did for me." Henry's eyes welled up with tears. He clutched the note, feeling the familiar weight of nostalgia. The bench, though old and creaky, felt warmer that day. It was as if Samuel's presence lingered, whispering through the rustling leaves. He remembered the summer when they had tried to build a treehouse in the oak. They had failed miserably, planks falling, nails bending, and yet they laughed until they couldn't breathe. That treehouse had never been completed, but it didn't matter. The joy had been in trying and doing it together. And that was life, Henry thought. Not the successes, but the moments shared. As the day went on, Henry noticed a young boy playing near the pond. He reminded him of Samuel in his youth, bright eyes, curious, full of life. The boy ran past the bench and tripped over a root, tumbling into the grass. Henry chuckled softly to himself. He walked over, offering a hand, and the boy smiled up at him. "Thanks, mister," he said. That simple gratitude warmed Henry's heart. It struck him then that the bench wasn't just a place to remember Samuel. It was a place to witness life continuing, to see joy, to feel hope, to be present. The memories were precious, but so were the living moments happening all around him. Henry spent the rest of the afternoon sitting, watching, and sometimes talking to passersby. A young couple with a stroller smiled at him, and he returned it with a gentle nod. A group of children played tag nearby, their laughter echoing the laughter of his youth. He realized that life, in its own way, had given him a gift, the ability to carry the past while embracing the present. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, Henry placed Samuel's note carefully in his coat pocket. He leaned back on the bench, feeling a calmness he hadn't felt in a long time. The bench had been their meeting place, their confidant, their silent witness. And even though Samuel wasn't there, physically, he was there in spirit, in every memory, every laugh, every story shared. That evening, Henry walked slowly home, the crunch of autumn leaves beneath his feet. He thought of the countless Sundays he had spent at the bench, the conversations, the secrets, the laughter, and he understood something profound. Life is not measured by the number of days we live, but by the moments we share, the love we give, and the memories we create. Back at his small house, Henry placed the bench note on his mantle, next to a framed photo of the two friends sitting on that very bench decades ago. He smiled, tears glistening in his eyes, and whispered softly, "Thank you, my friend, for every moment." And as he drifted off to sleep that night, Henry dreamed of laughter, of shared stories, of friendship that transcended time and distance. The bench would always be there, waiting, creaky and old, but filled with memories that could never fade.